Well, good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Jenny Whitener, and we're just gathering for a great session today. Better virtual meetings, achieve goals, engage people, and leave smiling. So I am thrilled to welcome all of you today as you're joining us. Please come on in, find the chat, get comfortable. We're going to have a great session with our guest presenter, Kristin Leydig Bryant, and it's going to be a great time. So let's move on. Mary, if you just move us along in the materials as we get started today. The first thing I wanted to do is to allow our audience to say hello to Kristin. So it's a great pleasure to welcome you all today to Bridge Innovate and our Inspire series. We've been running inspirational webinars since the beginning of COVID, and it's been exciting. We've had over 40 amazing presenters who are sharing their stories of innovation, tips, all types of leading practices to give us inspiration as we encounter all the disruptions and changes that are facing us today as leaders in the marketplace. At Bridge Innovate, we are a group of business strategists, consultants, and leaders that come together alongside you to facilitate business innovation, leadership development, and change. So let's keep going. Today, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce you to Kristin Leydig Bryant, someone who I admire tremendously and have been friends with both on a professional level and personally for over 20 years. Kristin has an excellent background, University of Tennessee undergraduate, Wharton School, M.B.A. in strategic management. So her academic background is fantastic. Her personal background is amazing. She and I met actually at Ernst & Young Management Consulting, which she was a lead consultant in their People Advantage and Change practice. And we were fortunate enough to work together on many projects. One that I found most memorable was a major global integration project that Kristin was invited to be a part of the team on for Capgemini and Ernst & Young. So since that time, she's gone on to lead all types of strategic facilitation work all over the world, working with global companies, mid-sized companies, and small companies. She's a notable graphic recorder. She studies Japanese. She's an amazing cook, and she has chickens. She's rescues dachshunds. She's just this amazing person that it's been my privilege to know for many, many years. And now she's come out with her first, not really her first, her third book around tricks and tips, her second book, Trips and Tips on Virtual Meetings. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Kristin, invite her to share more about herself. And we're actually going to change and let her actually present her slides directly. So Kristin, welcome.
What a wonderful intro. Thank you. I'm just a little bit puffed up here now. And I see a couple familiar faces and names, and I'd like to ask everybody if you're comfortable to turn your cameras on so I can see you, because one of the things we're really going to try to do is to increase your engagement during your meetings. And we have to be able to see each other's faces to be able to do that. I don't know about all of you guys, but in March, when we all started the lockdown and working from home, I found myself clawing my way up the learning curve to hold virtual meetings and virtual training sessions in a way that was still inviting and engaging and helped people to feel like they were really collaborating. So that was sort of the impetus for writing my book, which is called 72 Easy Tricks for Better Virtual Meetings. And I'd like to just sort of share some of the big points from that book in the next 30 minutes. So the book is centered around some guiding principles. And don't worry, I am not going to talk that much. We are going to be all playing together in just a minute. But the guiding principles are to create some sort of interaction with your meeting participants every 6 to 7 minutes, because it's really too easy for people to zone out when somebody else, you, is doing all the talking or typing. The second is to make your thinking visible. If they can see what you say, it's more likely to make an impact, and then also help them to make their thinking visible. Whenever you have to give them instructions, you're going to be really specific and overt about them. Mix it up so that you're not doing the same thing over and over. And then, acknowledge that we are human beings and things get messy. Let's just give people permission to embrace it. You are probably going to hear a dog bark at some point over the next 30 minutes. And people have children that come in and interrupt them. Let's just embrace that. So those are the 6 guiding principles. But for the next few minutes, I'm going to help you, and we're going to play with 3 quick tricks to achieve the first one. So those 3 tricks are, we're going to do an anonymous brainstorm. We're going to do a quick poll via annotation. There's a lot of fancy polls out there, and I talk about how to use those in the book, but you can do a really quick poll with annotation right in Zoom. And then we're going to play a really fun game called Step into the Circle, which you might remember from elementary school playgrounds. So let's go right into this. I'm going to ask you to rename yourself in Zoom to 3 dots. And if you hover your mouse over your picture, you'll see 3 dots at the top right of your screen, your little screen, and then choose the rename function and just put 3 dots there. Everybody looks the same. So we're going to do a little brainstorm in the chat. And so I'm going to ask you to keep this safe for work. But name the best thing that happens to you on most days before noon. So put the best thing that happens to you on most days before noon in the chat. So you see what's happening here is we can see all of these thoughts coming in the brainstorm. We're not really brainstorming, but everybody's putting input in. This technique of asking people to rename themselves to dots is really useful in a brainstorm online because people can generate ideas without groupthink. They won't jump on to, the leader's idea, or they might be afraid to put in their own idea because they're afraid of being judged. So when you allow them to rename themselves by putting the 3 dots in before you do this brainstorm technique, you can then have sort of a better representation of ideas because people's kind of let go of some of those limitations. So what you would do next in a brainstorm session like this, you can copy down the chat history and then move on with whatever your usual brainstorming process is, clustering or narrowing or anything like that. Isn't that fun? Okay. So there we go. So we're going to do, the tips we're going to have today are really fast because one of the things people get nervous about when they're told to do something every 6 to 7 minutes is, well, how am I going to get anything done in the meeting if I have to do these little activities every 6 to 7 minutes? These are going to be quick, quick, quick using the basic Zoom functionality. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Which is using the annotation function to poll. So what you're going to do is move your mouse near the top of the screen and you'll see something appear that says view option and then annotate. And you're going to select the stamp function from there. And you're going to check the star or select the star from there. And you're going to mark on this spectrum, where does your company fall between these 2 dynamics? Does your company tend to be more of an analysis paralysis kind of company? You spend so much time collecting and analyze information that you sometimes can't take action? Or are you a ready, fire, aim company where you're like, oh, okay, we just collect some minimal information very quickly, and then sometimes we miss key information when we act? So you see what's fun here is you very quickly get a visual from your participants without having to bother with setting up a fancy poll. And they are also interacting with your slides. So that gives you both a visual and a quick way for some interaction. Where I use this in my meetings is when I'm trying to gauge interest in a topic. So I might put something up here and say, how interested are you in this topic from 1 to 10? Or getting an idea of where people fall on a question. If people are not interested at all, I want to know that. If they're ready to move forward, I want to know that. So this is a quick way to do that. Now, what's important to know about annotation is it will stay until the producer clears it. So if I were to move my slide forward, you would still see all of those stars on the next slide. So I'm now going to ask Mary to do what's called clearing annotation. Mary, you know how to do that? Yeah, she does. Okay, let's play with the third one, which is especially fun. We're going to call, this is called the step into the circle game. And what I'm going to do is get out of screen share so that we are all showing in gallery view. And please make sure that you are in gallery view too. In the top right of your Zoom screen, you have something that looks like a Rubik's Cube. So if you click that, you'll see all of us instead of just me. And the way that you step into the circle, I'm going to say a question. And if that question applies to you, you're going to make sure your video is on. And if the question does not apply to you, you're going to turn your video off. So you click that start video or stop video, depending on whether or not you want to be in the circle. Okay, so let me get out of screen share view. And everybody is in gallery view, right? Okay, so let's start with all cameras off. Everybody turn off. So we're going to see all these still pictures. Now, step into the circle if you are a dog person, but you have a cat. Not too many people. Okay. Cameras back off. Step into the circle if you have visited another country ever in your life. There we go. Lots of folks. Okay, leave your camera on. Stay in the circle if you have visited 2 other countries. 3 other countries. We have a well-traveled group. 5 other countries. 10. What do you think? 15? Okay. Everybody turn back off. Step into the circle. When business travel is allowed again, I'm going to give you a choice between 2. You have a choice between going to the Amazon rainforest or Antarctica, because you have a very exciting job. Step into the circle if you want the rainforest. Okay, now step into the circle if you want Antarctica. So I hope you're beginning to imagine how you might use this very simple feature to help your people be interactive with you and with each other. Okay, I'm going to give you one more step into the circle, and that is step into the circle if you would like to receive these slides from today so that you can use them yourself. I hope everybody turns on because that would be a little insulting. So this feature is really fun for group introductions. If you've got people who don't know each other, you can say, step into the circle. If you've been with the company for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you kind of start to get a sense of groups. It's also good for helping people select an option from a set of choices. And it's good for gauging consensus. If you have a high level of trust, you can ask people, let's step into the circle if we feel like people agree. Use that wisely. I'm going to go back to screen share. If I can. There we go. Because I'm going to share one more trick. We can't do this together, but I want you to see it because it's something that I have found to be really useful in my sessions. Let me get into slideshow mode. This is what I call my introductions slide. So I don't know about you guys, but every time you're in a meeting and you have to introduce yourself, you end up, hearing the same sort of generic information from different people. And I learned this from a client, that if you just put up something like this, I'm not going to go through all the information, but I could then sort of tell you whatever is most relevant in the session. And you also have something to look at. So it sort of keeps you engaged and wondering about me or whoever else we have use a slide like this to introduce themselves. So this is sort of my little bonus trick here. And you can see in the bottom right, the cover of the book of tricks. And to the left of that is another book that I wrote for about dachshunds and a particular spinal cord injury that they get and how you can take care of them. So that's sometimes a little weird thing people are interested in. So let me get out of SlideShare mode again. And let's look at questions or anything you guys want to talk about. We have just a couple more minutes, and so I want to make sure I left plenty of time for us to chat. There's the dog. See, I told you.
Any questions for Kristin?
You can ask out.
Do you have any ideas for really fun icebreakers or mood lifters on Zoom? I mean, I like that one you did with the come into the circle, but do you have any other, and maybe like real, I want not just geared for young people, but geared for adults who need to play.
Yeah. So I actually want to call on, and I hope she doesn't mind me putting her on the spot, but a fellow facilitator is on this call, Kelly, and she does a ton of really fun icebreakers. So I would love to hear from the group, starting with Kelly, about some fun things that she has done.
Can I go maybe fourth? I don't have any words. I'll find some words.
Does anybody else have fun icebreakers they've done virtually? I'll tell you one I've seen, and I've used this a lot, and I've actually seen Kelly use this. I've seen it in a couple different ways, but you ask people to find something on their desk, so that's sitting right here, that that like is something that they conceivably could throw. And you have them tell one short fun fact about themselves. So I always use this chewed up emery board that one of the dogs got hold of, and for some reason I still keep it. So I'll tell a fun fact about myself, and my fun fact is, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I always know exactly what time it is. And I don't know why. I don't have that ability during the day, but I can do it in the middle of the night. And then you have them throw it and call on another person. So I might say, Kelly, and then Kelly has to catch it. And then she does her fun fact. So it gets that fun sort of motion, and it also, people have to pay attention, right? Because they know they might get called on, and this projectile is going to come flying towards them through the screen. So that's one fun thing that I've seen done. Anybody else have fun things they've seen done for a little icebreaker warm up? I'm always looking for new ideas.
We've done Name That Movie.
Oh, how does that work?
Mary does these great screenshots of sci-fi movies, and she posts it up, and in chat we see you can name the movie.
Ah,
we usually try to leave the characters out of it because that usually gives it away really fast. But for like, if you watch WALL-E, it's really desolate, post-apocalyptic. If you are a true movie lover, you'll probably recognize some hints here and there. So we try to, bring in some general sci-fi. There are a lot of similar but different landscapes that people will recognize. So yeah, that's what we like to do.
oh, that's great.
Had people rename themselves to some famous person they want to be. Like I want to be Dorothy with the red ruby slippers. So I might rename myself during the meeting to Dorothy.
And I'm seeing some people are putting things in the chat that they have used. Mad Libs, reverse charades, Kahoots. That Kahoots app is really fun. You can create all kinds of little games with that. I'd love for whoever put that into the chat to talk a little bit about how they've used it if they want to. And I am also putting into the chat the link to buy the book. You can either buy it in PDF form on my website, or if you prefer Kindle, there's an Amazon Kindle version. So the book is 72 things like this, like very quick, very easy ways to keep the interaction going in your meetings and to make sure that people still feel collaborative and working together in this, weird way of working that we all have now. But I would love to hear any feedback anybody has, and I'm very, very grateful to Jenny and Mary for giving me the opportunity to play with you for a few minutes today. Kelly's ready.
I will share one idea, and it's a similar idea to what Kristin did with Step into the Circle. And so instead of showing your video, everyone stays on video, but if it's true for you, you stand up, or and then you have to kind of move back. And so you have people actually moving up and down, or you raise your arms up and down, or some type of movement instead of the turn your video on and off ideas. The same concept.
Yep. Kelly is a train from the back of the room guru. So there's lots of things like that in that methodology that she uses. So someone has asked for my short opinion on breakout sessions. I love breakout sessions. And I think it's a fantastic way to allow people, if your main session has a lot of people, sometimes people can be stymied in getting their opinion heard. And so allowing them to go into breakouts, work on a specific question, and then come back with that. I was so thrilled when we learned that Zoom had that functionality way back when. I think it's a really great way to keep people interactive and feeling a sense of ownership for what's happening in your session.
So Kristin, some more questions coming in the chat. Do you see them?
Yes. Okay, let me go up to the top. Somebody was telling me, yeah, I am very transparent about my speaker's notes. The quilt slide, yes. How long do I think meetings should be max? It's a fascinating question. I think if you design a meeting well, and if you design it so that it has lots of interaction and lots of breaking up, that it can be a pretty long meeting. I have done 4 and 5 hour Zoom meetings, not necessarily by choice, but because that's what the client who hired me to facilitate it wanted. And when you have a really long meeting, these kinds of things become even more important. I don't always feel that I have a choice about how long the meetings are, but if I'm organizing a meeting, I try to keep it to, if it's a working session, an hour to an hour and a half. But you've got to be really careful that it doesn't just become this, death march of talking heads. Where was the matrix like start to circle? I don't know what that means, but, and then there's, how to construct a photo slide to leave up. What I've seen people do is they make the photo slide, and then you make that photo slide your virtual background. And so then when you're the speaker, that's what they see. I also was in a really interesting session once, and it was almost like going down the rabbit hole of Inception, but they took a photo of that session. So this view of the gallery with these people in it, and then they made that their background. So it felt very immediate, that they were, and it looked like they were standing in front of all of us, which was really kind of a fun thing. I've seen people have gotten so creative in such a short amount of time. Okay, I'm scrolling down. Oh, you get a login screen when you, okay, we'll send the link out again in email. Oh, great. Thank you for all the people who are helping me. For people who hate impromptu breakout sessions. So one of the things I say in the book is we have to be cognizant of everybody's different styles. I, believe it or not, am an introvert. And people always act like that's an amazing thing. But you know, so I think you've got to mix it up. If you're going to do impromptu breakout sessions to satisfy some, give some other people in your meeting 2 to 3 minutes to work on their own on something. Maybe they want to do it by themselves. And I think that's fine. If people want a little bit of thinking time and then they come back together, let's create opportunities that work for everyone. That's another reason to mix up things so that you are more likely to satisfy everyone at least part of the time. There is not a paperback version. It's all virtual because there's so many links in the book. Oh, getting a meeting started. Yes. One of the things I really love to do and is do an interaction slide as people are coming into a session. So I'll put a little question up on I'll start with my slides shared, and I'll put the instructions on how to annotate on the slide, small, and I'll put a question. So I just made one of these slides actually for a session that I've been doing on Monday, earlier today. And it was, how do you describe the strategy of your organization to your team? And then they can, as people are coming in, they can see people's different answers appearing on the screen. So it gives them like a little gathering activity to do. So you don't have to sit there as the facilitator and say, we'll just give it a few more minutes. We'll just wait for a few more people to join. It gives them, you know, something to do. So a little gathering activity. Yes, 10-minute breaks every hour. Great. Okay, I don't know what the 8 uploads, so the video, I don't know what that means, but if somebody wants to reach out to me afterward, I'll try to figure this out about uploading a video image. But I see that we are at time. I hope you enjoyed playing a little bit with me, and I'm just so happy to have this chance to see more new faces on Zoom and ways to make it less painful for all of us.
Thank you so much, Kristin. And in fact, let's give her a wave like we were in a stadium. And Kristin, you start.
Okay.
A wave. And I'll go. And then Mary goes. There you go. It's just a wave. Woohoo! We thank you so much for all the energy and excitement that you brought to our teams today. It's crazy being remote all the time, and you've been a breath of fresh air and excitement. Thank you so much. The recording of today's session will go out in an email after the meeting, probably tomorrow. We'll make sure that there's a hyperlink in there for Kristin's book and how to reach her. And so thank you guys so much for joining. There are more programs coming up from Bridge Innovate's Inspire series. So check out our website at www.bridgeinnovate.com under our events page. Hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye, everyone.